Well, hi everyone. My name is Ann Jahns and I'm the Gift Planning Officer here at KML. Welcome to the May edition of the KML Legacy Foundation vlog. So we know here at KML that getting an education is more than just about academics. It's about faith and community and shaping future generations for lives of service to the Lord. But unfortunately, sometimes the cost of tuition can get in the way of that. So today we're going to talk about something that's often misunderstood but very powerful, and that is endowments. Endowments help support student assistance here at KML. So joining me today on the vlog is Dave Zarling, the board chair of the KML Legacy Foundation. Dave's going to talk all about endowments, how they support generations of KML students both now and to come, and how you and your family can leave a legacy of faith through an endowment. Well, welcome, Dave.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It's a great opportunity for us to connect, but also, share what's near and dear to the heart of KML ministry, Christ-centered education, right. And also just talking about how families can have an impact to students here at KML. I'm excited to have this conversation.
I'm so glad you're here. Absolutely. So, Dave, first of all, let's talk about why student assistance matters so much at KML. What would happen to students if that did not exist?
Yeah, I like this question because, student assistance it gets so easy just to think about it being about just the student, and that's important, but really what's happening here is you've got families that are having deep conversations about where their kids are going to get education. And when you think about that, yes, families want great academic excellence, and we can provide that here at Kettle, but it's something deeper than that. It's about their children being in a Christ-centered environment, whether they're in class, going to chapel, the activities that they're in, just being involved and around a Christian community is super important. And if there isn't student assistance, bluntly, that means people can't afford to go here. And if that's the case, it's no longer a financial issue, it's a ministry issue. So anytime someone gives to student assistance, what we're really doing is opening the door to sharing the gospel with them, and that's huge and deeply meaningful.
Right. It has impact beyond this lifetime, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Right, for sure. So Dave, let's talk a little bit about endowments now. What exactly is an endowment, and how is it different than just a regular gift?
Sure, yeah, there's a variety of ways to give to Kettle. Some might be familiar with giving a regular, just one-time gift that goes directly to Kettle, and typically how that's used is immediate need. Mm-hmm. So whatever the needs of the school are, it goes directly to that. The way to think about an endowment is something that they can give to that, yes, has tax advantages, but it's really about timing, how it's used. It allows the giving to be, yes, for immediate need, but also future need. So when you give to an endowment, it's something that's put into a fund. That's our board is in charge of managing faithfully. Those funds grow, and then each year there's a distribution given out of that helps support tuition assistance. And so the way to think about it is really given to an endowment is a way to plan ahead. It's a way to meet immediate need, but also meet the needs of future generations.
Right. I think it sounds like a win-win, right?
Yes, it's a win-win.
It's a great way to do it. So,
yeah.
So an endowment is kind of like planting a tree that bears fruit rather than just buying the fruit.
Yes,
itself,
yes,
right?
I love that picture. That's a great picture. And when you think about that process, someone who plants a tree, rarely do they get to experience the end effects of that,
right.
Sitting in the shade or eating the fruit from
right.
it. And so it's really the future generations that get to do that,
mm-hmm.
Children, grandchildren, future families.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a really important aspect to think about. And it's a statement of faith. It's saying, Lord, how do I want to respond to what you provided me? Can I use the gifts that you've blessed me to bless others to be under that same tree of grace? Mm-hmm. And that's really what giving to a legacy endowment or the KML Legacy Foundation is providing for future generations.
Right, and the gift goes on and has kingdom implications.
Yes,
right?
kingdom implications for sure.
Right. Okay. So people may not know that endowments play such a big role in student assistance here at KML. Can you talk a little bit about the number of endowments that the KML Legacy Foundation oversees and that they manage, and how they directly support student assistance here?
Absolutely. So the KML Legacy Foundation currently manages about 20 endowments specifically for student assistance. And our role is to manage those carefully and faithfully, and they can provide ongoing support for students. One of the joys of being on the board is each year we get to approve those distributions
right.
that go out, and that amount is about 5% of the principal balance. And that's that unique balance of a legacy gift like that is the fund gets to grow, we still get to distribute each year, and it's not just about, oh, let's invest it and let's grow it, and let's not all give it at once. It's this balancing act that's a really nice balance to see the account continue to grow or funds continue to grow, but then that also means that annual distributions continue to grow, and it's such a joy to be a part of.
Well, Dave, I know that God has really blessed the KML Legacy Foundation Endowment. So can you talk a little bit about the distributions that the board approved this year to provide support to students?
Yeah, I was really hoping you'd ask this question, because one of the joys of being part of the board is not only do we get to be around the faculty and the students and steward the finances well, but one of the joys is, every January we get to vote on the distribution that gets funded to go towards student assistance, and that amount this year was north of $184,000, which is awesome. And when you think about it, it's more than just a number. $184,000 is nice, but what does it really represent? It represents a student in chapel, a student in activities, a student around a Christian community, families that are now connected to God's word. It's what it really represents, and what a blessing that is.
Wow. So, it really doesn't just impact the student, but it also impacts their families and then also the greater community around KML as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It gets, sometimes we get so myopic and think, and we love the student, and that's a part of it, but there's so many ripple effects. When you think about what's happening when a student comes to Kettle, they're involved in events and academics, and those events could be sports, it could be fine arts, it could be the various clubs that are here. But that means that student and that family are now interacting with our Christ-centered community. They're around people who are speaking Christ into their lives, and that's huge. And then you think about the preparation of that student for significant, formidable years of their life, their teenage years, preparing them for adulthood, and what better way to be around the gospel every day, to be around those who are going to point them to Jesus every day, and preparing them for the future, because these are future employees, future business owners, future leaders, future spouses. They're going to be shaped for life here, and that's just so huge.
It is. It's truly equipping for life and for eternity,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that. That's a wonderful explanation. So if somebody were interested in supporting student assistance through an endowment, can they either set up their own endowment, or can they contribute to one that's already established?
Yeah, great question. Great, because it can be a little bit confusing, in this process. But you absolutely can establish an endowment in your own name, for a minimum gift of $10,000. And, that can be on behalf of a loved one, or you're doing some late life planning, you can do that. But you're not limited to that. You can also give a gift to the KML Legacy Foundation that way. And that also, is a way that you can support student assistance. And it's a great option, because it allows to strengthen the overall fund. Numbers beget numbers, and you can explore all these different giving options. I always suggest people talk to you,
right,
or talk to their financial planner or tax planner, because it could be part of your beneficiary designation, or maybe you have appreciated assets with qualified charitable distributions, and all these things matter. They all add up,
right,
and help the cause.
Okay, right. So there are many different ways you can do that, and this is just one of them,
Yes,
right?
100%,
okay.
yes.
Okay, thank you, Dave. So it sounds like an endowment can be a really powerful way for an entire family to leave a legacy of faith. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I really appreciate about endowments is it allows families to have deeper conversations. Sometimes financials can be a taboo subject, but it allows us to have conversations about, like, what do we value? What has God done for us? What ministries shaped our faith? What do we want our grandchildren and children to know matter to us? And so leaving behind, a legacy is not really about what we leave to people, it's also what we leave in people. So, for example, sharing Jesus, they're getting the most important thing. And by using the blessings that you've been given to give towards enhancing that kingdom, how huge is that? That legacy is not just about money, it's about the one name that matters, Jesus.
Right, that's so important. So Dave, is there anything else you'd like to share about endowments or about the KML Legacy Foundation?
Yeah, I think I'd like to just stress or encourage that people watching this might be tempted to think that this isn't for them. A lot of times giving a gift, you think, oh, that's for the very wealthy, or that's for someone that's planning end of life type things. It's not. This is something where you can prayerfully be asking, Lord, how do you want me to use what's been entrusted to me? Maybe a current gift. For others, it might be including the KML Legacy Foundation in an estate plan. Others, it might mean just having a family conversation and about Christian education and long-term generosity. So people should start those conversations. Start it with your family. Talk to someone like yourself, your financial advisor, and most of all, pray. You think about KML and how many students it's blessed with the ministry and sharing of Jesus. And until Jesus returns, that's going to continue and be a part of it.
Right, and these endowments are a way we can support ministry and share the gospel with KML students and their families until Jesus returns.
That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
Oh, it is. So, well, Dave, thank you so much for joining us today, and thanks for kind of breaking down endowments and how they can really help support students here at KML and their families, and not only for this life, but for eternity. And thank you also for everything you do for the KML Legacy Foundation Board. You are such a blessing to KML. So thanks again for being here today.
Right back at you, Ann. I know you're taking on a huge role here, and it's much appreciated. And love serving on the board with everybody.
Yeah.
Such a great Jesus-centered group of individuals. They all have the Holy Spirit in them, and it's just humbling to think that gifts today can help students tomorrow and years from now, and generations of people you might not even meet.
Right.
The tagline of our KML Legacy Foundation is your legacy, their future, and so by God's grace, the generosity of people today can help people in the future. It's awesome.
Thank you,
Dave, for having me.
Well, thank you. It's so good that you're here. Thanks a lot. Well, thanks again for joining us today in the KML Legacy Foundation blog and learning all about the power of endowments and how they support students here at KML. So if you're interested in learning more about endowments, perhaps setting up one of your own or contributing to one that already exists, please reach out to me. My contact information will be in the description below. So join us again next month where we talk to Jim Holm, Executive Director of Wells Foundation, all about leaving a legacy of faith and simple ways you can do that through a planned gift. So thanks again for being here today. And remember, it's your legacy, their future. Take care. God's blessings to you.